Conservative women are finally speaking out, and they are saying the Western female is the most blessed, the most privileged, the most successful woman on the face of the planet, and they are still angry, still unhappy. And they are saying this whole feminism things makes no sense now. Thank you for watching the Shakaama live show with your host, Shakaama. So conservative women speak out and are saying this is the entire reason for feminism. Somebody promised Western females that they should come out of the house, get a job so that they can purchase anything that they want, anytime that they want, with their own money. Now, they came out of the house, got a job, got paid money so that they could purchase whatever they want, whenever they want, anytime that they want. And then they started looking at men and seeing that men have even more money because men are division heads, men are vice presidents, men are presidents, men are CEOs, men are chairman of the board. So they said, I want to do that. But here's the deal. And this is exactly what these conservative women said. When they looked across the board and they had to compete with men, they found that these men had an asset that they didn't have. They all had wives. We're going back a bit. This didn't just happen in 2016, right? You understand that this has been a long time coming. They found that those vice presidents, CEOs, chairman of the boards, all had wives. And what does that mean? Their wives were still at home. Their wives had dinner ready when they came home. Their wives, he gave them sex to relieve stress. Their wives took care of the children. Their wives took care of the home. Their wives cleaned the home if they didn't have a maid. Even unmarried men cannot compete with married men. They do survey after survey after survey after survey. Married men live longer. Married men don't have as much stress. Married men are more successful. I'm not talking about 2016. Please get that out of your head. I'm talking about this has been a long time coming. And they have done survey after survey after survey after survey. This is before feminism destroyed marriage. And so the conservative women concluded that it was a concerted effort, an aggressive effort on a part of feminism to destroy marriage. Do you hear me? To destroy marriage, to get rid of the wife. That feminism's intent was to get rid of the wife so that the woman could compete with single men instead of married men. I'm telling you, even a single man competing with a married man has a long road to hoe. He's not going to live as long. He's not going to be as happy. He's not going to be as stress-free. And I'm not talking about 2016 marriage. I'm talking about all the way from 1956 we're talking about. So don't think this video is about 2016. 2016 is feminism mopping up marriage. Marriage is just a piece of paper. This is handed to you from feminism. This isn't handed to you from any logical person. This isn't handed to you from somebody married since 1956. I dare you to go ask some couple married since 1956, is marriage just a piece of paper? You have been bamboozled and you are suffering the ravages of feminism. Feminism has attacked marriage on all fronts. Even divorce. There should be absolutely no reason that the government should be in your marriage, because it was never a government thing to begin with. It was always a pseudo-religious ceremony. Always a pseudo-religious ceremony. Always a tradition to bring two families together to create a union in the children, commingling two different bloodlines. That's what marriage is. It has nothing to do with government, nothing to do with licenses. There should be absolutely no reason that the government should be involved in. So these conservative women took a look at feminism and said, this is what's going on. This was a concerted effort to attack and get rid of the wife. That females ascribing to feminism are attacking women. It was never about trying to be equal to men. Being the equal to men, that was just second place. And here's another thing that they finally came out and said. Just as communism was a dirty word, and the attitude towards communism and the exposure of what communism was actually doing in the United States finally opened up the eyes of the population, and they shunned communism and socialism. And so now you have even less people who want to readily ascribe to calling themselves communists and socialists, and even liberal. Liberal is a dirty word. Communism, dirty word. Socialism, dirty word. They are saying the same exact attitude is now happening with feminism, because people are finally seeing that feminists have gotten it so that men can't see their children, their flesh and blood. And I don't want you to come up with, oh, no man wants to even have their, to get that out of here. They've done study after study that said men are more nurturing. Men respond to children more. It is in the DNA for men to protect children. It is in our DNA. It is not in the DNA for women to protect children, because women are not protectors. It takes an act of God for a woman to come to the rescue of a child. The first reaction of the women is to look to the man to protect the child and her by proxy. But it is the first reaction of man is to rush to the child and protect the child. It's the same exact DNA of men to rush to the defense of a woman, even a feminist woman. So now they're saying that the attitude is completely changing, and that feminism is now becoming a dirty word, and women do not want to be called feminists because they are now waking up to the realization of third wave feminism. And this is feminism today. All of you women who still are clinging on to that feminism is about equality and feminism is about making sure that men and women are on equal footings, you are delusional in this day and age in 2016. You don't know what's going on. Every feminist lobbyist, every woman in control are third wave feminists. There is not a single 1940s feminist, 1930s feminist, 1920s feminist, no suffragists are in a position of any power, any position of authority whatsoever. They're all third wave feminists. And this coincides with the wishes of the government. Why? Because through feminism, the government is reaching into the pockets of men and pulling out money that they could never have had access to before. The government before could only access the money of men through taxation. But now, through the advent of feminism and getting government involved in marriage, you have fingers, hands, entire arms down the pockets of men now through child support. The government gets paid through child support. Visitation rights, the government gets paid for it. All of this stuff means that they're reaching into the pockets of men. They're not reaching into the pockets of women. And you women, with your vindictiveness, that man he shouldn't be around. All men are evil, all men are rapists, all men are blah, 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 blah. And all this evil just feeds upon itself. And then you start saying all men. All men don't want their children. All men are deadbeats. And that entire deadbeat stuff, that black men are deadbeats, they found that that is not true at all. That's all feminist propaganda. Humans, by nature, want to live and let live. What does that mean? If there is a lowest common denominator of where I can live in a peaceful manner, the human is going to take that route. That means a human is not a criminal by nature. A human is not sinful by nature. Oh, I know that destroys the entire premise of church and religion. Who tells you that a man is sinful by nature? That is a complete and utter lie. Humans help humans by nature. Humans want to be good by nature. If somebody says you pay this woman money and that's going to help your child, by nature, men are going to pay the woman. That is the nature of human beings, period. If you studied psychology for 2 seconds, you'd realize this. Who do you see of men not having jobs, not paying bills, living off of other people? This is a crass man. This is a criminal man. This is not the norm for men. Men are socialized to be the breadwinner, the hunter, the bring home the baconer. This is the norm for men. You are listening to women who are trying to get you to go against men to get rid of the wife. So finally they came out with a few surveys that said that women are shunning the entire label of feminism completely. We are seeing finally the death of feminism little by little. First, it is simply the attitude. And this is the same thing that the feminism entire movement, especially the third wave feminism, did to get you to this place. The first thing was to get you to have an attitude against men. The propaganda of rape culture. There is no such thing as rape culture when rape is a crime, and rape happens in 1 in 100,000 or even less, far less than that. People, humans. Oh, and women do rape, by the way. And in fact, men are the majority of rape victims. In fact, not too long ago, there was a serial male rapist of men. And if they extrapolated the men that actually called in to report it, they have nowhere near an idea of how many hundreds of men that guy actually probably raped. Probably in the hundreds. Probably. If the percentages hold out. And there's no reason not to believe that, because society has conditioned men not to accept admitting to rape, admitting that they were raped. You have to get through this propaganda of feminism, and everybody has been feminized in this society so much that now you say stuff and you say it as fact when in fact it was propaganda to begin with and has absolutely no truth in any sort of matter. Rape culture. That is ridiculous on its face. Anybody who says such a thing is an insane person. You should shun talking to them. You should shun being around them, because that person is insane. That's like saying murder culture. Go to any prison and do a survey of how many rapists are in the actual prison. Rape is not acceptable in our society whatsoever. And the people trying to support this idea of rape culture are trying to say that rape is on the rise. It's on the it's on the steep cliff falling down. Women are today the safest that they have ever been in the history of the entire world today in the Western world, except for Europe, which is accepting all of these refugees, and those stats are actually skyrocketing. But that's another video. In the United States, women are now safer than they have ever been. That's safer for mugging, safer for physical violence, safer for rape. Anybody telling you different is lying to you. Anybody telling you different is listen to their very next sentence, because they're going to now sell you a bill of goods that you know is going to be fake. Women are finally waking up and saying, I am not a feminist. Don't call me a feminist. It is a bad word. But the big deal of this video is that the revelation that feminism attacked marriage to get rid of the wife so that they could compete far easier against men in higher positions. So we're talking about all of these potential CEOs in the women category. They don't want to compete with a guy who goes home, has his meal already prepared, has his footstool ready to go, has his slippers ready to go, has his pipe ready to go, hugs and kisses, wifely duties in the bedroom, completely stress-free, versus the same feminist woman who goes home and nobody's there. Nobody's there to greet her. She has to order out. She has to prepare her own bath water. And there is no stress relief. She then has to deal with the stress on an ongoing basis. And survey after survey after survey is saying that feminists and women in general are unhappy in the workplace, not due to any attacks by men in the workplace, but now they have come to the realization that work is stressful. They are quitting their job. In fact, the women labor participation rate peaked in 1990, I believe is the last year. It is on the fall. It is going down because women are coming to the realization that work isn't all this great, fantastic thing. That a man's income, depending on your household, is sufficient to cover all expenses and have some left over. And that if the woman actually supports the man, he can go much farther than if she doesn't support him. The two household income is actually falling. And they're coming to the realization through calculating how much is daycare, how much is this, how much does a second job actually cost? How much does a complete wardrobe for business actually cost? How much does all the car insurance, all the car stuff, all the travel, all of the gas, all of the maintenance on a second car, how much does that actually cost? Versus the woman driving the man to work, driving the children to work, coming home relaxing or cleaning or whatever she does, then going up picking the children and then picking up the man. Actually saves them money than her going to work. Now they're coming to the realization and sitting down and actually doing the accounting for that the second job actually costs money, that they're not getting ahead, versus the woman actually supporting the man and assisting him in getting ahead is actually far more beneficial than an actual second job. Two household incomes are on the fall. Women labor participation rate is falling. Women are not happy in the workplace. Feminism is slowly dying. It's in its death throes. This is why you have feminists coming out the woodworks to make sure they rant and rave about this and that and the other. And this crazy rape culture crap. Insanity. Do you hear me? Insanity. And to convince or these stats saying 1 in 5 women on college campuses will be raped. That is insanity. That is insanity. And here's what's really crazy. 1 in 3 women, 1 in 4 women, 1 in 5 women, 1 in 7 women. They keep changing this little propaganda that they're putting out. It is insanity that many men would be rapists. And they don't even have the data for the male college students as far as being raped. They got the CDC to declassify male rape as male rape. They completely changed it around to classify it as alternative sexual encounters. So men cannot, by legal definition, be raped at all, 100%. This is feminism, ladies and gentlemen. You all clinging on to, oh no, feminism is about equality. You're lying. You're lying to other people, and you're lying to yourself. You need to wake up. And finally, hopefully these more conservative women with a head on their shoulders will finally speak up a bit more and saying, okay, you all have had your ride. You destroyed marriage. We're not going to destroy marriage anymore. You've changed the attitude of women to such a degree now that the good girl is seen as a bad thing and the slut is seen as a good thing. The entire slut thing is a completely different topic, a completely different video, but that is not a good attitude for humanity. And you will get raped by the government if you try and promote a society of sluts. You will be raked over the coals by the government. You don't even know how bad and terrible that entire scenario plays out. Get your crystal ball out and just sit for a second and say, if we had an entire society of sluts, how would that play out in our society? How would that play out in our medical community? How would that play out in our childbearing? How would that play out in our legacy, inheritance, marriage? Because if you promote sluttery, that means that marriage has zero bonds to it. And the whole purpose of marriage was a contract to say, this person is off the market, be they female or male. The male is off the market, the female is off the market. Oh, and don't say that men cheat more than women, because the data is out that women, in fact, cheat more than men. All thanks to this entire propaganda of third wave feminism. Oh, you can have it all, woman. You can have it all. And it leads to the destruction of society. If you want to go deep, let's go deep. I encourage sane women to speak out and to stop calling themselves feminists. It is a dirty word. Thank you for watching the Shakaama Live Show.